Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. When William Ruto took over, you look at the appointment he did, it was a kind of complex issues that Kenyans came out raising when it comes to his appointment. When we start with cabinet ministers, principal secretaries, and chief administrative secretaries. Now, when you look at cabinet ministers, Kenyans never had issues because at least the number was not so bad. It was about 22. When you look at principal secretaries, also brought some issues here and there, where Kenyans came out asking why William Ruto came out appointing more principal secretaries than Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. Now, something that brought a lot of issues here was about chief administrative secretaries, where Millicent Omanga was among them, Charles Njagua, people like now the current government spokesperson, that is Isaac Mwaura, and different individuals that were appointed to be chief administrative secretaries, people like Evans Kidero, people like Nicholas Gumbo, and several others. But now, as we speak, the spokesperson of the government, that is Isaac Mwaura, is coming out to deliver a bad news. And this bad news, it is a clear indication and signal from William Ruto. Himself, he has realized that he doesn't need these chief administrative secretaries. Vile tunawajua wanaitwa CAS. But the reality is, this was taken to court as Kenyans were complaining about the number that was appointed. It was almost 52, if I'm not wrong, 52 of them, where Kenyans came out asking, why was the 52? Was it necessary for William Ruto to appoint these chief administrative secretaries? Because when Uhuru Kenyatta came up with this name, it was rejected, and even court came out saying that chief administrative secretary were unconstitutional. But still, the regime of Uhuru Kenyatta, they continue with these chief administrative secretaries. Now, when you look at William Ruto, the same thing is happening, where court has come out to block these chief administrative secretaries to take over the offices, or rather, to start working. As if that is not enough, Isaac Mwaura, the spokesperson of government, is coming out to deliver this bad news.
My friend, I am a former CAS, appointed on 16th of March, gazetted on 22nd of March, and sworn in on 23rd of March. Then there was a court injunction on 24th of March. And then the positions were declared unconstitutional on 3rd of July. And then we went back to court, and on 16th of October, the Court of Appeal refused to give a stay. That same day, by the way. But that was like a preliminary ruling. They are making a further, a final judgment, or rather the judgment will be out on the 8th of December. Yeah? So until such a time that the courts rule otherwise, those positions have been declared unconstitutional. And the president said very clearly that he will abide by the rule of law. There is an active appeal at the Court of Appeal. So when that is done, then we will get to know what is the position. So I think, I don't know who is it that you claim to be a CAS in the National Treasury, but I would also want to tell you it is true that we had already been allocated dockets. Like for me, I was a CAS in the Prime Cabinet Secretary office, and I was in charge of parliamentary affairs. So maybe going by that, but that matter is still active in court, so I cannot comment further. You may actually be accused of subjudice. But these are Kenyans also. They are Kenyans, and they deserve to serve this country. These are my colleagues. I stand with them, and I hope that in due course the matter shall be resolved, and it is not fair to demonize them just because we may want to settle political scores.
This is just a kind of its own news, as Isaac Mwaura is coming out to say that they must follow the constitution. And himself, he was appointed to be the chief administrative secretary. And because I want you to understand why William Ruto, even himself, is not going to accept that. Why? Because those who are appointed to be the chief administrative secretaries are now being appointed elsewhere in the government sector. For example, like Isaac Mwaura is now the spokesperson of the government. The spokesperson of the government, if I'm not wrong. Later on, or rather earlier on, he was appointed to be the chief administrative secretary, CAS. And because this was blocked by court after Kenyans stormed the courts demanding requirement why these chief administrative secretaries were to be appointed. So as we speak now, these people, they don't have office. Despite of them, wanaringa na kusema wako na maofisi. Immediately they were appointed. You saw Charles Njangwa going to his office. And the same to Millicent Omanga and the other individuals when they were handing over. But at the same time, there's something that was happening. William Ruto knew this was going to be a burden. Now he has realized that this is a burden. And even I know it is a prayer of William Ruto that court should come out to reject this totally. Because as the spokesperson of the government, Isaac Mwaura is coming out to say that they must respect the constitution. And as per what the appeal they had towards the chief administrative secretaries, I think for him is coming out to relay the message of William Samoei Ruto. We are no longer going to have these chief administrative secretaries, I'm telling you. Because William Ruto himself, he has realized that this is going to burden him. For example, if I'm saying something that I know, a chief administrative secretary was to consume 765,000 as his or her salary. Was 600, rather it was 765,000. That was the salary of this chief administrative secretaries. Now, when William Ruto came in, he appointed 52 of them. You just multiply, just 1 month, the salaries of these chief administrative secretaries. They're going to earn each of them 765,000 times 52. In 1 month, William Ruto is to use 39,780,000 Kenya shillings to pay these chief administrative secretaries. Remember, this is basic salaries. They have mortgages, they have allowances, and this is going to be up to maybe 60 million Kenya shillings. 60 million Kenya shillings. These 60 million Kenya shillings, 60 million Kenya shillings per year, you multiply by 12. William Ruto was to use 720 million Kenya shillings. 720 million Kenya shillings. That is almost to 1 billion. Then you multiply by 5. That is 5 billion Kenya shillings that William Ruto was to use to pay these individuals. For William Ruto, he has realized that this is not going to be fruitful. It's going to be a burden. So in other words, these people are being fired. And in fact, something that is so funny, they were sworn in. Some of them took over even the offices. People like Millicent Omanga and Charles Jago. Isaac Mwaura is telling them no salaries, no allowances, no any other packages they should have. Because it is an unconstitutional office. Why should they earn salary? That is the message that is coming from Isaac Mwaura. And I think this is the decision that is coming from William Ruto. Because Isaac Mwaura cannot come out to say that without the knowledge of William Ruto. It is an indication that these people are being fired. Even for them, the court decided that it was unconstitutional. At the same time, the government is coming out to relay their message, and they are saying, we are not going to accept to pay you salaries as the courts or as the court has come out to relay their message clear that the offices and the positions are unconstitutional. And for them, they must not earn salaries. That is whatever Isaac Mwaura is saying. And something that also you must understand, the context here. Those who are also appointed to be chief administrative secretaries, a bigger percentage of them wamepewa kazi already. Inamaanisha kama wewe ulikuwa appointed to be the chief administrative secretary, na kwa sasa haujapewa kazi ingine, you don't have job because no salary. But again, the same question that Kenyans are asking. Wengine tunaona kwa maofisi wanafanya nini? Wengine tunaona kwa maofisi wanafanya nini? That is the big question. Are they earning salaries? Because we saw Charles Njagwa is continuing to go to their offices. Millicent Omanga and others. But some, they have been appointed in other stations. Like Isaac Mwaura is no longer the chief administrative secretary, or rather chief administrative secretary. He is now the spokesperson of the government. So for me, I think the message is clear, and they are totally fired. No salaries, hiyo ndio wameambiwa, no any kind of packages they are going to receive. And this is the signal that William Ruto has relayed. Can we say it is bad news to these individuals as they're trying to defend the interest of these people, because they know they played a bigger role when it comes to the politics of UDA or Kenya Kwanza government? What do you think? Drop your opinion at the comment section below. Otherwise, thank you so much because of the support. Please consider subscribing, liking, commenting, and sharing this video.